Vijay Mallya's loan default and his having left the country in spite of hearings being on. According to information with my colleague Srinivasan Jain, one of the companies, Diageo, on which Vijay Mallya was on the board of directors, has decided to essentially remove him from his post, but waive $75 million that they had given him. SEBI is now looking into the matter and looking into alleged violations that could have taken place as Diageo gave him this sweetheart deal.
As every aspect now of the Mallya financial empire gets probed, the latest is a probe that's been now ordered by SEBI, the stock regulator, into what is being called the clean chit that was given to him by Diageo and USL, a $75 million golden handshake. Now, the context to this is that last year, in the middle of 2015, Diageo USL actually accused Vijay Mallya of financial improprieties when he was chairman of United Spirits, which was one of the group holding companies that they'd bought 2 years ago. They said that close to almost 1,400 crores had been diverted from the firm towards Kingfisher and other unknown entities. And they said that this amounted to not just financial improprieties and legal violations, and they asked for him to be sacked as chairman. But they then did a turnaround in February of this year and appeared to give him a clean chit, elevating him to the level of founder emeritus, and then of course the famous $75 million handshake. But SEBI now has said that they've opened a probe into it to see if there are any violations in the entire process. Diageo says that they've received the notice from SEBI today and that they're happy to cooperate with every government inquiry or agency. But it does raise questions as to what this chapter of Vijay Mallya's financial dealings will uncover.
Well, we've seen the issue of Vijay Mallya having left the country also, in spite of these loan defaults, cause several disruptions in Parliament. Joining us to discuss Vijay Mallya as a Parliament MP and whether he should be allowed to stay on in the Rajya Sabha, we are being joined by Pavan Verma of the JDU, and we have with us right now Professor Jagdeep Chokhar, who is with the ADR, who is looking into irregularities as well and democratic reform that is required in Parliament. Let me come across actually first to you, Mr. Chokhar. I'll come to you, Mr. Verma, in just a moment. But Mr. Chokhar, tell us, in terms of conduct rules, what are the violations that you can spot right off the bat by Vijay Mallya?
You see, the question for me is not Vijay Mallya. The question for me are the banks who have given public money to Vijay Mallya. All the talk that has been going on is about Vijay Mallya being guilty. But I think as a citizen of this country, I am more concerned about the banks which have given him public money. Now, the whole process of non-performing assets and setting up an asset reconstruction company is because public sector banks have been giving loans without worrying about the authenticity of those projects.
Right.
The question is, nobody goes beyond the debtor occasionally to the banker, but nobody asks the banker, why did you make such a wrong decision? We need to go back behind the decisions of the banker, and I suspect, this is only a suspicion, that there is a political hand behind it. Nobody wants to go there. This is all hidden behind these technicalities of non-performing assets and so on.
Mr. Chokhar, the issue of how the banks have conducted themselves is certainly a critical issue to be looked at. That's one part of the debate. But I think tonight what we're looking at, what we're asking is about his role as a Rajya Sabha member. Pavan Verma, Vijay Mallya was also, is also on committees, on the aviation committee, for example. A conflict of interest really for a businessman like him and the way he's conducted himself in the Rajya Sabha. Forget his record of attendance in Parliament.
The Rajya Sabha rules are clear, and they have been for some time now. Members who are part of the Rajya Sabha have to declare their assets and liabilities and also file a declaration of interest form. In other words, they have to show if they have a particular interest in a certain business or economic activity, and there are categories given there. And if there is a conflict of interest, it must be revealed. That is point number one. Secondly, at the time of entering the Rajya Sabha, you are supposed to make a clear statement of assets. And I think Mr. Mallya in 2010, in his declaration of his assets and liabilities, said that he has no property, no debt. Now, in my view, in view of the following, he is being investigated by the Serious Fraud Investigation Office. The SEBI is investigating him. The CBI has filed an FIR in July 2015. A lookout notice has been issued to him, later diluted, but it was issued to him in October, diluted in November. But nevertheless, he seems to be a man who is wanted by authorities in a matter of serious fraud or certainly of misusing public debt for personal gain. Now, the Committee of Ethics in the Rajya Sabha, the role is very clear. If members feel that a particular Rajya Sabha member has violated the rules of ethics, there is a Committee of Ethics. It's chaired currently by Dr. Karan Singh. If they raise it, the chairman can decide to refer the matter to that Committee of Ethics. In the Committee of Ethics, the function, just the first function will make it clear. The committee shall have the following function, namely to oversee the moral and ethical conduct of members. So my view is that there is a general sense in the House that what Mr. Mallya has done needs to go to the Committee of Ethics. The Committee on Ethics will then recommend expulsion, and if it is approved by the House, a person is so expelled. That's the procedure, because the Rajya Sabha does not act in or the Parliament does not act in a knee-jerk manner. And there are precedents, Maya. In December 2005, you had Dr. Chhatrapal Lodha who was expelled. Sakshi Maharaj was expelled in 2005 December. I'm not sure what was the exact offence, but it was grave enough. I think something to do with the MP-led scheme probably and its misuse. He was expelled. So there are precedents, and I think the House should act accordingly.
Okay, all right, Sankarshan, I can see you nodding your head as Pawan Verma is speaking, or shaking your head rather, in disagreement. What do you think the Ethics Committee of Parliament really should do in a case like this, Sankarshan?
No, I entirely take the point that Mr. Pawan Verma is making, but I would like to say here that from what he has said, clearly, very clearly, the Committee on Ethics, headed by Dr. Karan Singh, is in default. Is it lost on anyone that Mr. Mallya was the owner of a crashing airline, that he should not have been a member of a parliamentary panel on civil aviation? I mean, it is not upon him to declare alone. It is known to the whole world what his businesses are. And come on, who are we kidding? Does he have to come and say, I own this absolutely, this falling airline, I'm about to make hundreds and thousands of employees unemployed. I mean, come on. I mean, there are rules and there's the real life,
Okay, all right.
Maya, I want to make a larger point here. Is that we live in a culture of entitlements and permissiveness. Some people are able to get away, some people are not able to get away.
Okay, all right.
I think that should be stopped. I mean, someone refuses to pay a fine on television and holds a gala. This evening, it is still going on as we speak. This person was on television all day yesterday saying, I'm not going to pay any fines.
Right, in spite of an order, right. Okay, Shaina NC, you want to come in?
The Prime Minister has gone to that event.
Yes, that's true, Pawan Verma, but that's another debate, and I don't think we're going to get into that on Left, Right and Centre tonight. But Shaina NC, on the issue of Vijay Mallya now, you're hearing the debate. Come in on what you think really should be the conduct of a Rajya Sabha MP, where the line should be drawn and where the line has been crossed between, parliamentary ethics and businessmen's personal, private wealth, private business, business management.
Well, I think, Maya, the most important word in all of this is propriety. And if one believes that one wants to be a member of the Rajya Sabha, the least one has to first contribute towards is performance, is ethic, and to ensure that you have some contribution to make. Look at Mr. Mallya's track record. He has attended only 30% when the average is about a 78% of other parliamentarians. That is one aspect. Look at the amount of his funds that are yet to be spent, over 4 crores, vis-a-vis all the others who have almost completed whatever is given to them to better their constituencies or the projects they've taken on.
Right.
On the other hand, you have financial impropriety, you have these allegations where this king of bad times, so to speak, has duped 1,500 families and not paid their salaries. So I think we as a society need to ostracize cases and people rather than believing that no, there is a committee that's going to decide or the ethics committee is going to suggest. I think it's imperative for society at large to decide what they want to talk about in terms of insulation and what they want to talk about in terms of ostracization. I am not for 1 minute suggesting that maybe he shows up on the 18th of March and he has full intent to pay back. Well, it's a little late in the day, but either way that would be welcome, because there are two different things here. One is a willful defaulter who has the funds to repay all the banks, all the consumers and all his employees, and on the other you have a parliamentarian who has not even made any substantial development to this nation in terms of even argument or a positive input to the democracy of this country.
Right, China. So I'm gonna have to actually end it there because we're out of time. We had to cut into the Prime Minister speaking at that event Sankarshan was referring to, and so we ended up losing time on our discussion here. But I think this is a question for parliamentarians to ponder, for parties who support independent MPs and their election to the Rajya Sabha also to be concerned with. This is not the first time you've had a businessman MP on a panel that is directly in relation to his business. We've seen where that's ended up. Where does one draw the line? I think all our parliamentarians, our entire system needs to ask these extremely tough questions. We'll have to unfortunately leave it at that on Left, Right and Centre. But thank you all so very much for being patient and staying on for these comments at least.